వెల్కమ్ బ్యాక్. ప్రస్తుతం ఆర్థిక మంత్రి నిర్మలా సీతారామన్ మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. లైవ్ లో చూద్దాం.
मैम दिस इज मोनिका फ्रॉम जी बिजनेस. मैम मेरा सवाल है कि आपने कहा कि पार्शियल क्रेडिट गारंटी स्कीम में रिवीजन करने की ज़रूरत है. आपने हाल ही में कुछ रिलैक्सेशंस अनाउंस करे थे, तो अब हम क्या स्पेसिफिक मेजर्स उसमें एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं? और दूसरा ये कि रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर जो वन ऑफ द टॉप एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेटर्स है, उसके लिए आपने कुछ भी अनाउंस नहीं करा, बल्कि उन्हें बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपेक्टेशन थी कि एटलीस्ट एक वन टाइम लोन रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग स्कीम जो है की घोषणा हो जाएगी. तो क्या कारण रहा उसके पीछे?
नहीं, actually for the real estate we had announced some things even earlier. We had announced that stalled projects which need to be completed will be given the last buyers will be getting the project. That is already ongoing. Now in this also we have extended the date by 1 year, so that if it's affordable housing, the exemption which the home buyer has is available for them, and the tax holiday for the real estate people, promoters, is also extended by 1 more year. So actually they can now seek the buyer and benefit from it once the transaction gets over. So we've actually given something much more than what was announced even before the budget for the real estate sector.
29. Next question,
That's
29.
already ongoing. Na?
Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon, ma'am. Sapna Das here from CNBC TV 18. You've also created a lot of buzz with your new divestment target of 2110 lakh crore estimated for FY21. Ma'am, you've clearly mentioned that, out of this amount, around 90,000 crores is what you're looking at via sale of stake in public sector banks and financial institutions. Could you please explain that to us? And also IDBI, sir.
So the target which has been specified, FM has already mentioned it during the budget speech. It is essentially to come from the listing of the LIC and also from the IDBI at this stage. Yes. Yeah. So that listing will decide the valuations. We will work on this.
Next
and
question from
essentially these two.
53. Yes, 53.
Sir, this is Mukesh Kaushik from Dainik Bhaskar. Ma'am, I want to have clarity on defense budget. How much this time has been allocated, and what is the percentage increase? What is the capital budget for this, and what is the amount allocated to Indian Air Force, Army, and Navy specifically?
I think all these details will be provided in the document. So if there is any clarification on that, you can. Otherwise, PIB press release is providing all the details and data about the different heads. We can take next question number from 8.
Ma'am, this is Ruchi Bhatia from ET Now. Congratulations on the budget. I want to ask you about the massive 2.1 lakh crore target that has been set out in the budget for disinvestment proceeds. Many say this is a very stiff target. How will the Department A look to achieve this target? Because we've seen a massive shortfall in this year. So A, on the target, and you've also spoken about a tax charter that the tax department will bring in. What will the tax charter really entail? Just to understand that.
I'm glad you asked that question. I was a bit worried that on a measure like a tax charter, and in spite of me mentioning it in 2 different places in my speech, not a person has asked me any question. I'm so glad you asked. That's a very major step. Other than us going around the country to tell tax administrators to ensure that face-to-face engagement with the taxpayers need not necessarily be there, to ensure that they are dealing with them more like wealth creators, and to make sure that they would approach them only to gather information. In spite of all this, you would still hear some comments occasionally about, no, there is a level of harassment and so on. And our commitment to make sure that taxpayers are respected, and we quite honor them for the commitment in nation building that they're showing by being honest taxpayers, had to be given an expression of sorts. And therefore we came up, and I must thank, he's not here, the principal advisor, Sanjeev Sanyal did a lot of work for me on this. He researched and gave me a lot of inputs. If I'm right, there are only 3 countries in this world which have enshrined the rights of a taxpayer in their laws. Canada, USA, and Australia, if I remember correct. So when he, after quite a lot of inputs, came up with the taxpayer rights and the charter as a result, we, as usual, in the ministry discussed it in my morning meeting with the secretaries, and then we worked on it. That is to prove very clearly that the government's intent is not to harass anybody. If there are 1 or 2 black sheep here and there, they are there everywhere, not just among tax administrators. But the intent of the government had to be cleared, and therefore we thought we'll enshrine it in the statute itself, because we believe in it. It's an article of faith for us to respect wealth creators. It's an article of faith for us to make sure that the honest taxpayer is not suspect. And therefore we have made it a point to bring it into the Act itself as a charter, the details of which will come out. So that was one of your questions. What was the other? Tuhin Pandey is here. Only to have one word in his favor before he speaks is, I set the target in July. And I also will have to tell you, didn't you know about it, will be your question next. But I'll also have to tell you, between July and now, January, the immense effort that Atanu, before Tuhin as disinvestment secretary, and now Tuhin, are all undertaking. You will see successful disinvestment happening within the next few months. But your accounts for this year end 31st March. Can I keep speculating? So obviously I agree. Between July and now, a lot of legwork has been completed. And the benefits are going to go into the next financial year. So you may hold me for having set a target which I didn't fulfill, but within 6 months I can stand up and tell you, we have done enough groundwork. Tuhin Pandey can speak now about the rest.
So I think 20th of November, government took decisions of some big ticket disinvestments. One is the BPCL, another is Concord, another is Shipping Corporation of India, and THTC and NIPCO. Some of them we are going to conclude this year, but some of the large ones are going to spill over to the next year, and the revenues, receipts are going to come in the next year. So the transactions are all lined up. As you know, the Air India expression of interest is already out, and very soon BPCL expression of interest is just about ready. It will be out as well, and so on and so forth. So therefore we are quite hopeful that we would be achieving the disinvestment target next year. And also for this year, whatever is there, as you know, we are a very successful ETF. Last 2 days we raised 21,000 crore on the ETF, of which we are retaining 16,500 crore.